Blog number 7, July 19th, 2019. Continuing to organize the collection and going through a bunch of acquisitions in the last year or so, and trying to see what needs to be rebagged, boarded, all of that. So let's take a look. Got an issue of Spooky. This came from Duncanville Books and Comics. A great Casper cover. Hot Stuff, 10-cent issue. This is number 17. Looks like I upgraded my childhood copy of Plop, which wasn't in quite as good a shape as that. I bought all of the issues of Plop off the newsstand when it came out. Little Monsters, a great comic from my childhood. And here we have an issue of The Brave and the Bold, where the Flash meets the Doom Patrol. We've got Superboy meeting Cleopatra in this issue 291 of Adventure. This is great, a Woolworth's Christmas book. I may take the advice of a YouTuber named Captain Strangelife and make a poster of this. He goes to Kinko's or FedEx, whatever the place is called now, to make posters out of comic covers and ads and comics. This is a comic I had from my childhood, and it looks like I upgraded this. I found it at a antique mall. Issue of Swamp Thing. Superman Family was a reprint comic from the 70s that reprinted stories of Super Baby, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen. 80-page giant Superman. This is the way I always remember Superman, with a giant key for his Fortress of Solitude. Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. The 70s issues of Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes remind me of my childhood. Here's a tremendous cover, 80-page giant with the Legion. Great Richie Rich cover. The 50th anniversary of the moon landing is tomorrow, so that's appropriate. An issue of the Monsters. Charlton showcase with a Creeper, Steve Ditko art. Let's see, we've got a Snagglepuss comic. And we have some unbagged comics that I need to obviously bag and board. Mighty Hercules. Here's the Mighty Hercules. Look very much like Superman. Looks like this is also a comic I bought as a kid, and it looks like I found another copy and couldn't resist picking up a second copy of this issue of House of Mystery. Gold Key. Always had great painted covers. For the most part, the artwork inside didn't match in quality. Sometimes it did, with Russ Manning. An issue of Spooky. Let's see, Steve, Friday, November 20th, 1959, Norman, and has their address. And it has an Xmas Christmas toy special in it. Yeah. Three Stooges, another comic I bought as a kid, and I upgraded because my childhood copy is a little beaten up. Casper and Spooky. Yet another comic I bought from the 7-Eleven in second grade, but I've upgraded. Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. More Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. Still more. Looks like this, kind of like Wolverine, a few years before Wolverine was created. Oh, and here's the card for the store where I picked up some of these issues. This is a great store. One of my favorite stores, comic stores of all time. The Goofy Superman. This is The Strange Lives of Superman. Couldn't resist picking that up. I think I already have this, but I picked it up again. Man from U.N.C.L.E. Gold Key. King Leonardo and his short subjects. Got a bag and board, a lot of comics. I've got the supplies sitting here. Just need to have the time to do it. I love you. Oh, and it has a Susan Day feature poster. Another Gold Key comic with a tremendous cover. Supercar. Little Kids, which was a Marvel reprint comic from early 70s. Very hard to find Little Kids. The real thing is Little Archie. Very great comic. Oh, look at that. In this issue, Little Sabrina, that cute little witch. The Little Monsters, also a tremendous comic. More Little Kids. Little Kids. I don't even remember picking these up, but I found them somewhere, thankfully. Katie Keene fashion book. Wow, that's kind of a stylish looking, almost like a Steranko kind of cover. This is Wonder Woman when they took her powers away and gave her kind of a Emma Peel outfit, and it lasted for a little while, and then before too long they brought back her original outfit and her powers. They realized they'd made a mistake. I guess the sales on Wonder Woman weren't doing too well, so they would have other heroes appear on the cover, kind of telling you it's okay to read the comics. Notice they've got the Flash here saying, hey kids, it's okay to read this comic even though it's about a girl. This is my childhood copy off the rack. Statue of Liberty hitting her with the torch. I think that torch may be off scale a little bit. World's Finest. Oh, and here, moving into, I need to put this into my collection of Not Brand Echh, one of my favorite comics of all time. In third grade, a kid showed up with a copy of a comic called Crazy, a Marvel comic, and I didn't know what it was, but it was amazing. It was like a Mad magazine. It was like the EC Mad, the comic Mad, the color Mad, and it was had a story, a parody of the origin of the Fantastic Four, and a story that made fun of Superman and his family, and I was amazed by it, and then I realized, oh, these are all reprints from a 1960s comic called Not Brand Echh, and so you can see I have multiple copies of the first issue. It's a Jack Kirby cover. It was Marvel's parody comic, and at the time in commercials in the 1960s, they had laundry detergent commercials for that would say this, compared to brand X, our laundry detergent does this, that, and the other. And brand X was the way they would talk about their competitor without mentioning their name. And so Marvel started calling their competitor DC Brand Echh. So this is the second issue with a Spider-Man Batman parody, and they did Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and also the Thunder Agents. They did parodies. Looks like I've got a couple of copies of that. And the third issue had the Thor parody, Hulk, Captain America. These aren't that expensive to pick up, and they're wonderful. I don't think people have really discovered them. They have reprinted them as a Marvel Masterworks and then in a softcover edition. I noticed X-Men parody in this issue. Issue 5. Okay, I don't know where my issue 6 is. Where is that? But okay, here is issue 7 that was reprinted later. This is what I discovered as a little kid. This Superman and the Fantastical Four. This is one of the most wonderful comics in my collection. And I can't say enough about it. Marie Severin is and always has been one of my favorite artists, and she drew a lot of this. Marie Severin went back to EC. She was the colorist for the EC comics, and she did a lot of artwork for Marvel. This is issue 8. Love, Not Brand Echh. Love it. Here's issue 9 when they went to a giant size. It was a Bonnie and Clyde parody. They started doing movie parodies as well when they moved into the bigger format. And I got several copies. Man, 4 copies. I'm not really that kind of collector, but I love this comic so much. The Worst of Not Brand Echh. Amazing cover. This is something I really should blow up as a poster. It's great. But it was about this time that the comic started to lose steam. This is issue 11, and I think issue 12 was 13 was its final issue. In the 60s, when comics weren't selling too well, they would put Frankenstein on the cover because Frankenstein sold comics. In the 60s, you had James Bond and Batman and the Beatles, but what people also forget is Frankenstein was up there too in popularity. And he wasn't copywritten, at least, unless it's the Universal looking, and they've got the bolts in the wrong place for that to be the Universal one. And the final issue was 13. I think they tried to bring it back like within the last year with terrible artwork. Really pathetic. I'm going to set this comic down, this phone down for a moment, and then I'll go through some more. Just one moment. I'm back. All right, this is a really amazing comic box I picked up at the store locally. It looks like this box is all unboxed. Really need to organize. Got a bunch of 45s here and just general chaos in this room. Let's see what I've got here. I'll pull out a few. Killraven was comic early 70s, kind of a War of the Worlds Conan kind of hybrid. I don't know that people have rediscovered this yet, but it was a fun comic. Some reprint of the first issue of Spider-Man from the Dallas Comic Con. Alright, issue 68, Protest hippie cover. Batman number 129. I don't buy many modern comics. This one kind of piqued my interest. Just kind of thought the artwork was kind of wild, so I picked it up, and it just looks very dense and very it was worth me picking up. Hopefully when I read it, I'm as impressed as I am with the artwork. Beware. Marvel started reprinting a lot of their 70s A lot in the 70s, Marvel reprinted a lot of their 50s horror when the Comics Code relaxed. You didn't see that. Let's see. Blazing Six Guns featuring the Sundance Kid. That's a John Severin cover, who is the brother of Marie Severin. Classics Illustrated. This is a comic I had as a child. I still do, but I'm not sure if this is an upgrade, but I bought it again anyway. Conan the Barbarian number 4. Here's number 17. Crypt of Shadows. The Demon number 13. My childhood copy of Dennis the Menace Visits Paris. Doctor Strange. Dudley Do-Right. Charlton was not a comic company of very great quality, although the E-Man series that Charlton put out was wonderful. Let's see. Iron Fist, Iron Jaw, Atlas, the Jetsons. Oh, that's a great cover. Oh man, I've got to get this stuff bagged and boarded. Early Journey into Mystery, number 98. Jungle Adventures, Justice League, 100-Page Giant, Kid Colt Outlaw, Mordred the Mystic, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord. Looks a little different than he does in the movies. And the Guardians of the Galaxy in the 70s looked nothing like the movie version, although I think they were kind of introducing this version at the end of the last Guardians of the Galaxy, when they had Stallone appear and all that. I don't think, despite the movies being out, I don't think these 70s Guardians of the Galaxy comics, I could be wrong, have gone up much in value. And they used to be fixtures of the 50-cent bin, and I don't know if they still are. In fact, I think I picked a lot of these up for $1 locally. You don't see many Marvel Western comics appearing. The type people that bought them were not the same type people that bought the superhero comics, so they don't really appear when collections are sold to comic stores, I guess. I don't know. I just love the 60s Archie covers, and the 70s too. Phantom Stranger. Looks like I tried to put these in alphabetical order in this box so that I could file them into all of these boxes at a later time, which this is all a nightmare. But it's a nightmare that will be solved in the next few weeks, and I think it will be. You'll be with me, and every time I come up here to organize, I'll head on to, and if I only get 990 more subscribers, then I can live stream. So if you would subscribe or tell your buddies to subscribe, then we can do live stream and talk about QAnon and all that. Let's see, Submariner. Yeah, I love Submariner. I don't have time to go through all of it. Tarzan, Teen Titans, original Teen Titans, Thor number 168. I love the Three Musketeers, always have, Always have. Tom and Jerry. What else do we have in here? Oh, this is something you don't see very often. Dynamite Joe. God damn it. Sorry. Weird War. I got to get these bagged and boarded because going through them like this is. I'm very obsessive compulsive and I don't like damaging comics, so I've got to holding the phone with one hand and going through comics, not a good thing. I've got to figure out a new system. I have no idea how to do what I'm doing. I don't know how to grab a still to make it my so now I'm gonna set this down for one moment. I don't know how to grab a still, so when you're searching on YouTube, you see, the one image. I don't know how to, I don't know how to edit. I'm gonna have to figure all this out. YouTube is all still a mystery to me. So this is where I'm keeping all my comic books currently, in this room, which I keep closed so no cats can get in. The dog doesn't ever go upstairs, so this room will never be accessed by him. Notice I'm not pointing down at the floor because it's like one of those hoarding TV shows you see. If you look down at the floor, it's horrifying. So. Okay. There's a pinball machine. Paperback racks. And this is the theater room. Here's the projector. Boy, it does in here. Well, here's Pete the cat. Yeah, I guess this will be a wrap, and I will post this and see what happens next in my exciting life.